Hey, Mike Hammett for SWOSUathletics.com. We're talking with running back Karltrell Henderson as the Bulldogs now through a week of practice and starting to get a little closer to week one. And I know you come back off a season where you set some records with touchdowns. I mean, the single season, single game, your career numbers. I mean, you've done a lot of things already, and now you're going into a junior season. I mean, there's still a lot ahead of you. So what's the first thing that you, as you look at this year, what are some of your goals where you've already accomplished a lot here?
Just to be better than last year. I'm in a comfortable position with having the linemen that I have. Not many running backs in our conference have played with their linemen for 2 years straight. So it's just been a relief for me to have them guys being up there experienced and having the chemistry that they have to get me all of them stats that I'm getting. But it's just the offensive linemen who are a big influence to the success that I'm having. So
when you look at your line up front, I mean, like you say, to have these guys together as long as you've had them together is a rare thing as well. What are you seeing from them as far as, are they continuing to improve? What are they doing right now up front?
It's just competing every day, and they communicate a lot, and they're vocal, and they talk to the younger guys as well, just to let them know and instill in their mind that it's not don't be afraid to ask, and if you have a situation or just to compete.
Seems like you guys have some explosive guys in the backfield. I mean, we'll get to your quarterbacks in a minute, but I mean, Cedric Cooper comes in and he's right there competing with you. I mean, how much does it help where they bring in some of these other guys to help add some depth to this backfield?
It helps a lot. Like last year we had Kenan Marte, and he was a very good back. We just competed every day and made each other better. And this year ain't no different. We have Cedric Cooper, Sheldon Wilson, and Keidron Banks, who's also going to be a big influence to the run game. So we have a lot of puzzles and weapons on our side of the ball. So
how much does the quarterback play? How much does that change what you guys do offensively? Because you have a couple guys now that are not afraid to run with it a little bit too. When you talk about Joel and Casey, and even Tyler's a little bit deceptive too with the football. I mean, how much do those guys change what you do?
They change a lot, because having a quarterback that's mobile, as all them quarterbacks are, is a relief. Because getting them an open space that they can do, that's just making a play for the offense as well. So it's good.
We talk about you carrying the ball a lot, but you also caught it a lot out of the backfield last year. Is that something you've been working on as well to improve your ability in the pass game outside of just carrying it between the tackles?
Yeah, I just want to do anything that I can do possible just to be out there and contribute to the team.
When you look at your defense, I mean, you go up against a pretty good group up front. I mean, defensive line has a lot of experience. Austin Loomis, a fifth-year guy in the middle of that defense, and then the secondary seems like they're improving every day. What do you see from that group across from you?
Just them being competitive. We lost some key pieces last year, but we had some new people from the defense come in and filled some spots. So it's just them every day competing and also communicating.
Saw Friday, too, in practice last week. There's a lot of competition going on. I mean, guys were really getting into it. Energy is high, intensity is high. I know Coach got on you guys about some focus at times, but how's this year? I know they talk about complacency a year ago. How is the energy, how's the intensity compared to maybe it was a year ago?
Well, obviously this year we have a target on the back. We're ranked 7th coming into the season, and that's always something that we're already expected to happen. We're the underdog going into every game, but this year, which makes us different, is just people knowing that we have something. We're here to earn something. Like, our focus this year is to win the GAC, and to get that we have to win each day. So every day compete, every day get better.
It's Karltrell Henderson, SWOSU running back.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike Hammett talking now with SWOSU offensive line coach Justin Iske as Bulldogs get set to go here for the 2017 season. And boy, you've got a group up front. I mean, not very often you bring all 5 guys back, and you have even a 6th guy too that started some games. How much does that help you guys with where you're at in week 1 of camp as to where you might be on a normal year anyway?
Well, it's huge, because really going into spring ball was really a continuation of fall with having most of the same guys back. That continues right into fall camp this week, and we're able to progress a lot quicker. We had basically our entire run game was installed in 3 days. So you've got all that stuff in. Now it's just working on techniques, hand placement, working together as a group. It makes it a lot easier as opposed to usually this time of year, we're still making corrections on assignments and things like that. And now it's, we're just working technique and like I said, being together as a unit, working 5 guys as one instead of 5 individual guys.
When you look at what you do have, I mean, Garrett, Luke, Kevin Blessing, those guys seem to have been here forever at this point, and they're one of those leaders. You still have some underclassmen up front. I mean, as far as those guys being, Garrett being your senior leader, the guy that they always kind of look to, what do you get out of him and Kevin even to help lead the way for this team?
Well, it's almost like having 2 assistant coaches, because when the 2s and the 3s are in there, those guys that have been doing it forever, the 2 guys you mentioned, plus Bigelow and Ace McMahon, Brandon Rowe, and even Elijah Britton, even though he's only a sophomore, he's got a ton of game experience. So those guys can really help those younger guys come along, and it makes my job pretty dang easy, to be honest with you.
As far as even the skill guys behind them, I mean, to have an experienced line up front, how much does that help them and what they're trying to learn with where they need to go with the ball and what they need to execute?
Definitely. Your O-line is only as good as your running back, and you're only as good as your quarterback in pass protection and vice versa. So those guys have to work together as well with us, and having Karltrell, having Cedric and Marcus and Sheldon, all those guys have a bunch of experience, Keedron Banks as well. They know how those guys execute certain plays, which makes it great. And, those 3 quarterbacks that are battling it out right now, they've all had a ton of reps through the spring and this fall as well. So they're really getting comfortable with that first group and really the second group as well.
You talk about those quarterbacks. I mean, you add mobility there. I mean, Mark is a great pocket passer. These guys like to get out. They can run with it. How much does that change what you do as an offensive line? Does it change much at all there?
Not really, to be honest with you. Our offense is our offense. Our core structure is the same. It has been the same since Coach Garfield and I got here. But you're obviously going to do some different things off of those things. Our base runs, we've got run pass options off of those base runs. You've got play actions off of those. You got your bootleg stuff. And then with those same formations, you tie your passing game into it. And the structure of it's the same. It's just every year it's a little different. Our first year, we were in 2 tight ends. Probably 50% of the time we had Dylan and Colin Bricker. Last year we were more of a 1 tight end, 3 receiver set. Was our base. This year, when I find out, I'll let you know. But we've got some talented guys out there. We've got a great group of tight ends. We've got a few new receivers that are going to work their way into the mix to add on to the guys we have coming back. I think we're stacked at running back, the 5 guys that I already mentioned. The O-line, I think, is solid. And obviously whichever one of those 3 quarterbacks is the guy, which I think after Saturday's scrimmage we'll have a little more idea. At least knock it down to 2 of the 3, if not name a starter after Saturday, and then we'll have a little better idea of what the concepts are going to be the same regardless of just what guys are going to be on the field and what personnel groups and those sort of things.
On the other side of the ball, that defense that you get to see every day in practice right now, I mean, that's an experienced defensive front. They bring guys back with starting experience. For that offensive line in particular, how much does it help to face guys like that, especially a guy like that's Tyler Follis, that's a load and the speed off the edge that you get, from Dustin Johnson and TJ Harris?
It works both ways. Iron sharpens iron. We spend a lot of time offense, O-line and D-line and individual before we even get to our group periods and our team periods. And that I think that's kind of the secret to our success here on both sides of the line is we spend so much time together working our best against our best, and that makes everybody better.
You look at even the rest of that defense, how have you seen that? I know as an offensive guy, how have you seen that group across the way come together?
This spring, that like Coach Kokenauer's mentioned several times, that was kind of a concern of ours, was our defense, especially the back end, and those guys really stepped up in the spring, did a great job. I think they've continued to do well. We've added some pieces to that puzzle over the summer, and I'm excited to see what they can do playing against somebody else.
As far as I know, Coach Kokenauer talked a lot about the complacency a year ago, the first part of that season. Has it been different this year? Have you noticed any differences so far?
Much different. We're in much better shape through the first week of fall camp than we were last year, without question. That's the biggest part of it, and just getting better every day. Guys got to realize, the biggest thing I tell our guys is we don't compete against Southwestern. They're not on the schedule this year. Whoever we open up with doesn't matter, but we're competing against 11 other teams in the GAC. And if you're winning a sprint when we're doing conditioning and you're slowing down at the end because you're winning, that's wrong. Okay, because there's somebody from Henderson or Harding or Southern Arkansas or Monticello or somebody that's running just fast as you are. You got to compete against them. We can't just compete against each other. So that's the biggest thing. I think our senior leadership's done a great job between, Tyler Follis, Dustin Johnson, Garrett, Kevin Blessing, Karltrell. All those guys have really done a good job stepping up and realizing, hey, we failed last year. We were 5 and 6, embarrassing for the amount of talent that we have, and we've got to do what we can to fix that. And starting the first day we came back in the winter, back in January, all the way up until whatever the date is today, they've done a great job of making our guys understand, hey, this is what happens when you get complacent. You go 5 and 6 and embarrass yourself, and that's a bad feeling, and we don't want to have that feeling again.
Justin Iske, offensive line coach at SWOSU. Bulldogs open up at Arkansas Monticello September 2nd.